Battlefield 4, once again this is a modern day shooter being added to the Battlefield series, as was Battlefield 3. Now technically you could say Battlefield 3 was a futuristic shooter, as it was set in 2014. Now we do know that Battlefield 4 is set 6 years after the events of Battlefield 3, so this game is going to be set in 2020, so once again this is technically a futuristic shooter as well. Now every single Battlefield game since Battlefield 2 in 2005 has been a modern day shooter, apart from Battlefield Heroes and Battlefield 1943 that were both released in 2009. Now of course before that, when the series begun in 2002, we did have Battlefield 1942, followed up by Battlefield 1942 The Road to Rome, and then The Secrets of World War II. And then of course in 2004 we did have the original Battlefield Vietnam. And since then every Battlefield game has been set in modern day, apart from the aforementioned 1943 and Battlefield Heroes. Now this same pattern can be seen in other games as well. If we take a look at the Call of Duty series, which begun in 2003, 1 year after the Battlefield series begun, you can see that this game was set in World War II as well. The original game, Call of Duty, and pretty much all of its predecessors for the next 2 or 3 years were all set in World War II. We had United Defence, Finest Hour, Call of Duty 2, Big Red 1, Call of Duty 3 and Roads to Victory, all of which were World War II games. And then in 2006-2007 we came across a real turning point. Battlefield released its first ever modern day shooter, Battlefield 2, and Call of Duty were quick to follow with Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. And since then, both of these games have gone on to carve the future of their own series, with every single Battlefield game apart from 1943 and Heroes being set in modern day. And with Call of Duty, apart from the following game, World at War by Treyarch, every single game has been modern day, if not in the future. So what has happened to our love for World War II games? This same pattern can be seen for Medal of Honor, but not quite so successfully. Back in its heyday, when Medal of Honor was the big dog of first-person shooters on PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2, all of its campaigns were set in either Europe or the Far East during World War II. And then in 2010, when it tried to reoccur on the scene with a modern-day shooter, pretty much since then it has been a flop. Now I personally love World War II genre games. I especially enjoy the Call of Duty ones, which I know sounds a little bit horrible now, but you've got to remember that originally Battlefield didn't have any campaigns, they were just multiplayer games. And when I was much younger I did only play the campaigns. And the original Call of Duty was so immersive. I remember the first time I played Call of Duty 1 on PC, and I actually started playing it on the 6th of June. And I remember seeing all of the memorials for D-Day on television, and then I went ahead and played this game where you are a US soldier in the 101st Airborne and you're parachuting into Normandy on D-Day. Probably one of the most immersive experiences I've ever had on a video game. But since then, companies really have seemed to have avoided making World War II games. Now of course, Battlefield Vietnam, which was released in 2004, was the final period Battlefield game to be released before Battlefield 2, did make a reoccurrence in Bad Company 2 as a DLC. Of course we had Battlefield Bad Company Vietnam. Now that went down as probably one of the best DLCs for Battlefield ever. I know you guys, a lot of my videos in the past have said how much you enjoyed Battlefield Bad Company 2 Vietnam as a kind of standalone DLC for the game. Now with the idea in mind, I wanted to ask you guys how interested you would be if Battlefield 4 brought out a World War II style DLC. Now it does seem, since current generation consoles have been on the market, that World War II style games just haven't been as popular. But as I said earlier on, back in the days of PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2, World War II themed games were the absolute standard when it came to first person shooters. Now I have spoke to a lot of my friends and a lot of my subscribers, and they'll agree that they would love to see some kind of European based World War II, maybe Normandy, maybe D-Day style game on the up-to-date Frostbite 3 engine. Now I would love to see a DLC of this style for Battlefield 4, as we did see with Bad Company 2. Although I would make a few changes. I think with Bad Company 2, Vietnam was probably a little bit too much of a standalone, which is why it died off quite quickly. You couldn't play the maps from Vietnam in rotation with the normal maps in multiplayer, and it did feel like you were playing a completely separate game from Bad Company 2, which did make you feel like you were getting your money's worth, like you were buying a whole new game, but it did make it die off a little quicker as it was segregated from the rest of the Bad Company 2 multiplayer. Now with that DLC, not only did we get ourselves 4 Vietnam maps and then a 5th map that was unlocked later on after completing a community challenge, we also got ourselves all of the period weapons that suited the style, all the period character models to fit. We had the Viet Cong and the US Marines, and we also got ourselves all the authentic kind of 1960s music and menu screens and loading screens to go with it. So at the time, it was a really, really impressive DLC. I would love to see a DLC like this in Battlefield 4, to reminisce back to the original Battlefield 1942. Maybe it wouldn't even be part of Premium. It could be a standalone DLC that you paid a one-off price for. But I really think it would bring a kind of light-hearted aspect to the game, so you're not always playing the same modern-day maps with modern-day vehicles and modern-day weapons. Now and again, you could break out the World War II tanks, the World War II planes, and the World War II weapons. But these are just my thoughts and opinions on it. I really can't stress enough just how much I would love to see a World War II style DLC in Battlefield 4. But in the comment section below, I want to hear from you guys. What kind of era of combat would you like to see in Battlefield 4? Maybe you'd like to see World War II, maybe you'd like to see Vietnam again, or maybe Korea, or maybe something a little bit different, like maybe the Gulf War in the early 90s, something we haven't really seen in games before. Tell me all in the comment section below. And don't forget guys, if you did enjoy the video, please give me a like and a comment below. It does help me out so much. And in the meantime, thank you for watching, and I will see you soon.